Hi, this is Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy 2022, we made it. I'm so excited. I love this time of year, not because of the resolutions and the parties or anything like that. I mean, especially the pandemic parties have been redefined as well as everything else, right? But I love this time of year because it allows you to just revisit. I love using seasons, holidays in general as just points of reflection and to use it as a source of inspiration and new beginnings. And the new year is definitely a new beginning, and it helps me evaluate just where I've been, where I'm going. And again, I'm not a resolutions person. I haven't really been for a long time. I tend to focus more on activities and habits and things that are going to make me healthy and make me happy. So with that said, what I want to talk to you about today is getting your LinkedIn profile updated. And while this may be an overdone, somewhat tired subject, this is the time of year to revisit it and make sure that your LinkedIn profile is working for you and it's serving you. And the thing is that whether you are an active job seeker, a passive job seeker, if you are completely happy in your job and not looking at all, and it's really just about having a respectable personal brand that you want to show your employer that you're proud of working there, and you want to appear to be, that employee that they want working there, as well as maybe entice the competition to go, you know what, we want that person working here. Make sure your profile looks the part and is serving you, regardless of whatever type of role you find yourself in nowadays. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you 3 points that you could use to update your profile, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to apply for a mastermind that I'm doing, where we will choose about maybe 10 to 15 profiles, and we will audit the profiles and critique the profiles live within this very exclusive session. And I'll give you the link to do that at the end. Or actually, it'll be in the description, but also at the end of the webinar of this video. I'll let you know how you can access that. So first, the first thing is I want you to make sure your profile picture is updated. Now, this is obviously not new information here. And again, anything you hear today or from anyone else this time of year, if it sounds like I've heard that before, the key is the gut check. Are you doing it? Because I have had people tell me in the past for certain topics that I'll cover, well, this isn't necessarily new information. I'm gonna be like, yeah, but I just looked at your profile and you're not doing it. So this is more of a gut check. If you're doing it, right? Action is what matters, right? I just said earlier, this time of year in general, I use holidays for evaluating my activities. So here's your activity. Do the gut check if you are doing what I'm talking about today, all right? And if you already know it, then that's your job today, is to make sure you're doing it. So back to that first point, make sure your profile picture is updated. And by updated, it doesn't necessarily have to be you in a suit. It can, nowadays, corporate casual is fine, business casual is fine, very casual is fine. It just depends on what image you're trying to project, what your profession is, what your industry calls for, and a combination of all that to make sure that you are putting best, the most proper picture. And by proper, I don't necessarily mean formal. I mean proper for you, right? Based on what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to convey. So you also want to make sure that it's the type of picture that when somebody then jumps on a video Zoom call with you or meets you in person, that they're not going to not recognize you, right? You want that picture to sort of reinforce the brand of you by when they see you in that picture, that it somewhat looks like you in person, it looks like you on Zoom. Not that hair color needs to be all the same, or outfits need to be the same, or hair length needs to be longer, short. It doesn't need to all be, so matchy by any means, but you should look like your photo. And when you then show up in person, even if your hair is different, your attire is different, that it still looks like you. So that's what I mean by updated. Second is for both your LinkedIn headline, and by headline or tagline, that's the line under your name, as well as for your summary. I always suggest to focus on the first 40 or so characters. I mean, obviously all of it's important for both your tagline and your summary, But I say focus what the first 40 or so characters say for each section, because over half of recruiters, hiring managers, people on LinkedIn look at LinkedIn profiles on mobile devices, right? Phones. So it's a really small screen. And when you look at somebody's LinkedIn profile on a mobile device, you typically only see the first 40 characters of their headline or the first 40 or so characters of their summary before you have to click, the section that allows you to read more. So that's the key, is focus on the first 40 characters of things, because it's what grabs the reader's eye first. And although the headline can allow for more characters, it's just a good habit to get into. It's almost like writing an email subject line. I feel like email subject line is so important because it can make a difference between people reading your email, opening your email, or not opening your email. That's how I view the first 40 or so characters of a headline and a summary. You want to entice the reader to want to read more, and so make sure you take a look at your first 40 characters for your tagline, for your summary, and just make sure they're going to want to entice the reader to keep reading and then ultimately reach out to you. So that's number 2. And number 3 is to make sure you have a current position. And if you are currently not working, then I want you to put in your current position to be the job that you're targeting at the companies you're targeting, and use the description underneath that section to describe what you're doing during this period of unemployment to look for a job, who you're trying to network with, what jobs you're trying to target, any volunteer experiencing that you're doing. You may have it also listed in your volunteer section, but you should put it in as a bullet under your current position, outlining the gap currently in your employment. If you've done some contracting jobs, if you've done educational pursuits, courses. Obviously, you may have the courses or the degrees in those respective areas of your LinkedIn profile, but make sure you talk about it in this current position, because having a current position not only entices the reader to keep reading, but it satisfies the algorithm of having that section complete. It helps you come up in searches more readily, especially for the terms that you use to describe your title and your company. So those are the 3 areas on a top level that I would have you just look at today. And then if you would like to participate in the mastermind that I'm holding tomorrow, I'm going to ask you to apply, because we're reviewing all the applications and making sure that we have a group of people that can learn from each other. And so by applying, we will let you know if you've been selected, and then we will give you the Zoom information for the private mastermind group that we're having tomorrow. So feel free to apply using the link in the description. And if you have any other questions about your profile, if you're unable to make the mastermind, because it's not recorded, we don't share it for the privacy of everybody on the session. If you have any other questions, because you won't be able to make the mastermind tomorrow, then make sure you email me, message me, post a comment below. All the ways you can reach me, because I read and reply to every email and every comment. So I look forward to starting this new year off with you. I thank you for joining me today. And again, make sure you apply to the link there, and we can determine how we may be able to help you. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Take good care.